swing and a drive. Right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawley-Jean.
This is the Fly the W podcast, season number 4, episode 56. Cubs clinch home field, Crawley, for the wild card series, and you're listening to us on the Blue Wire Network. Don't forget to listen, download, subscribe, most importantly, review the podcast. You can follow us on socials. I'm with Mully and Haw on X.
You can follow me at Crawley's Club on X, Blue Sky, and TikTok, and Crawley's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. You're following us hopefully on YouTube here at Crawley's Clubhouse. And you can email us at crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com.
Well, for the most part, Crawley, there was good news over at the friendly confines this weekend. The Cubs able to take all 3 games from the Cardinals. The DH, I guess, Kyle Tucker, back taking swings. Home field advantage was clinched on Saturday, and there was a little issue with the starting pitcher.
Yeah, and I was there Sunday as well, and that was a lot of fun. Last game of the season, kind of a tradition in my household. It's always a great time. So, unfortunately, things always aren't going to go smoothly. We'll get to all of that stuff, but I was thinking about it today, Dustin. I have not had this nervous energy that I've had since, I don't know, 2020 was weird. There's so much weird crap going on in 2020. I guess like baseball wasn't like my biggest concern in life. What it was like back then with everything and having kids and all that stuff. And, for me, the energy that I have right now is very similar to what it felt like in 2018. And so I was at game 163 when they lost to the Brewers, and I was at the wild card game when they lost to the Rockies, when the offense was declared broken by Theo. So for me, just to kind of be back here in this moment, is super intense. And like I said, I was doing okay until today. Now all of a sudden I'm just like, oh man, I'm feeling it today.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm a little nervous now. Kind of the Bears game is in the rearview mirror for me, and now I am super focused on it. We get some news about who's going to start game 1. We don't know who's going to start game 2. So depending on who starts game 2, if you get to a game 3, who would be available then? So all of that stuff. But right now, all the focus has to be, on game 1. 1:30 pregame on the score, a 2:08 first pitch, ABC. So local 7 will be your TV option, but the score, of course, will be your home for all Cub baseball games postseason wise.
Yeah, and if you're listening to Pat and Ron, they know the players, they know everything. It's not like they're just kind of the random guys that get a couple tips from the batting cages. These are guys that have watched this team, more than 162 games. All the a lot of spring training games and other stuff. So that is where you're really going to want to listen to.
All right, let's go back, Crawley, to last Friday, game 1 of Cubs Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cubs win this one 12-1, and it was really a fun game on that one right here, right? The Baby Blues so popular this year, and you had Colin Ray versus Miles Michaelis, and Kyle Tucker back in the lineup for the first time since landing on the IL September 9th with a calf strain. He was DHing and batting 4th. Bottom of the first, Nico Horner hits a solo home run, Cubs up 1-0. Bottom of the 4th, Kyle Tucker gets his first hit, a 1-out single. And then with 2 outs, PCA hits his 30th home run of the season to give the Cubs a 3-0 lead. Now, the Cubs weren't done with Michaelis yet. Bottom of the 5th, Michael Busch hits his team-leading 32nd home run of the season, 4-0 Cubs. The Cubs scored 4 runs in 5 innings off Michaelis. Meanwhile, Colin Ray, Dustin, again pitched a gem. He pitched 5 2/3 scoreless innings and gave up 2 hits, 1 walk, and 7 Ks. Now, you know that these two teams have battled long enough that 4-0 is not a comfortable lead, right? Top of the 7th, Caleb Thielbar on the mound. Norland Gorman hits a leadoff double. Andrew Kittredge comes out of the pen. Thomas Ajayci singles to put runners at the corners. Jordan Walker follows that up with a single to make it a 4-1 game. Now the tying run is at home plate, but Kittredge strikes out Victor Scott and Lars Nootbaar to end the threat. Bottom of the 7th, the Cubs get that run back and a whole lot more. They score 7 runs with Seiya Suzuki joining his stepbrother PCA in the 30 home run club with a grand slam. Kevin Alcantara hits an RBI single in the 8th. Cubs win this one 12-1 and reach the 90-win milestone that Craig Counsell talks so much about in the offseason.
Yeah, preseason, that was a big thing for him. Yep, got to build a team that can sustainably win 90 year in and year out, right?
Yep, and that brought the magic number to host a wild card series, Dustin, to game 1. And I can just tell you that was exciting.
Look.
Let's take another look at this game real quick. A couple of things that stand out here. Offensive masterpiece by the Cubs. They scored 12 runs on 12 hits. They hit for the team cycle with Bush hitting a double, Shaw hitting a triple, Nico, PCA, and Bush all hitting home runs. They were a whopping 6 for 10 with runners in scoring position, and 7 different Cubs recorded an RBI. This was the 4th time in the season the Cubs scored 7 runs in an inning. And Dustin, when the Cubs offense is firing on all cylinders, this is what it looks like.
Right. Fingers crossed. We're hoping that they're, warming up, right? That this is all going to trend in the right direction.
Now, a lot of milestone home runs in this game. Michael Bush, or PCA, became the first player in franchise history to record 30 home runs, 30 doubles, and 30 stolen bases in a single season. You think about all the great Cubs that have been around, and just that fact that PCA was able to do that is in the record books now. And when we talk about 30 for 30, he's the Cubs' second player in franchise history to join that club, with Sammy Sosa, who did it in 93 and 95. Sammy had a couple more home runs, but when it comes to stolen bases, it was about even. But, when you are in that company with Sammy Sosa, that's a good one. And when you look at PCA and the season that he's had, Dustin, I mean, regardless of how it's come about, age 23 season or younger in MLB history to hit 30 home runs and to join the 30-30 club, you got Bobby Witt Jr. in there, Julio Rodriguez, Ronald Acuna, Mike Trout, Alex Rodriguez, Jose Canseco, and Bobby Bonds. That's an impressive.
Pretty good company. Pretty good company.
I really was happy about that one for PCA. The other thing that you take a look at this one, Seiya Suzuki hit his 30th long ball of the season and drove in his 101st RBI. And then Michael Bush hit with Michael Bush, PCA, and Seiya all hitting 30 home runs. This is the second time in franchise history that you have 3 players on the team that have at least 30 plus home runs. The first time, Dustin, was in 2004. Moises Alou, 39, Aramis Ramirez, 36, Sammy Sosa, 35, and Derek Lee, 32, and the team didn't make it into the postseason.
I was just going to say, that was not the team that played the Braves. No, that team does not make it. That's amazing.
I mean, yeah, four guys with 30-plus home runs, and hey, you know what? Expanded playoffs. It changes things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Dustin, with all this offense, it's easy to overlook another great start for Colin Ray. In the month of September, he's pitched in 5 games, has a 2.63 ERA, given up 8 runs in 27 and a third innings, and has not given up a home run. He's struck out 32 while walking only 4.
Those are big numbers. Those are big numbers. 0 home runs and only walking 4. Those are big numbers in the postseason.
That's, we're going to have plenty to talk about when we talk about, who's going to make this team and who's going to pitch when. But that's something,
Got to go with the hot hand sometimes, right? You got to go with the hot hand.
Right. It's just what I'm thinking. So who knows? But that takes us to game 2, Jamison Tyone versus Michael McCreevy. The Cubs win this one 7-3. The Padres beating the D-backs the night before. The magic number remained at 1, so the Cubs had a chance to clinch with a win. J-Mo taking on McCreevy, like we said. J-Mo was starting in place of Cade Horton, who could not pitch. We're going to get into this in segment 2. So this was originally a Cade Horton start. J-Mo was supposed to start Sunday, and they moved J-Mo back a day so he could pitch. Bottom of the first, Michael Bush hits a leadoff home run with his 33rd of the year and his 5th leadoff home run. Cubs up 1-0. Cardinals answer back when Nolan Arenado hits a solo blast off J-Mo. That was the only mistake he made all day. The solo home run was it. That's the only run he gave up in 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, and 8 Ks. Right? And so the Cubs untied it in the 5th. Dansby walked, and then who else? Michael Busch hits another 2-run bomb to make the score Busch 3, Cardinals 1. Seiya would keep it going. He hits a solo home run in the 6th, 4-1 Cubs. First guy out of the pen was Caleb Thielbar. He got the first 2 batters out, but then gave up a single, and then Jordan Walker hit a 2-run blast to cut the Cubs lead to 4-3. Cubs got a little bit of breathing room bottom of the 7th. Matt Shaw walks, and Michael Busch tripled to score Shaw. Cubs up 5-3. But with no outs, the Cubs could not get Michael Busch in. As opposed to Friday, they would finish 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. A little more insurance in the bottom of the 8th. Seiya drew a leadoff walk, but with 1 out, PCA isn't going to miss the home run party. He hits a 2-run blast. Dustin, what are the odds that the same 3 guys, Busch, PCA, and Seiya, hit home runs in back-to-back games? Just wild. And so it did get a little dicey in the 9th as Brad Keller loaded the bases. The tying run is at the plate, but he strikes out Nathan Church. Cubs win, and Dustin, they finally get that home field advantage that we were starting to get a little bit nervous about.
Yep, and at least they earned it, right? That's the kind of the way to do it. You do it yourself. You don't let yourselves back in like that. So that's another part of this that I think is cool.
Let's take another look.
Looking at this one a little bit closer, this is what stood out for game 2. Michael Busch recorded his 3rd career multi-homer game and fell a single shy of the cycle, going 4 for 4 with an intentional walk that we definitely have to get to here. Per Ed Hardig, he becomes the first Cub player since at least 1899 to have multiple home runs, a double, and a triple in the same game. Dustin, did you know that is more uncommon than actually hitting the cycle? So Busch this season is .467 with 5 doubles, 1 triple, 9 home runs, and 17 RBIs this season versus the St. Louis Cardinals. My friend Dubs, he ended up going to the Wikipedia site of the Cardinals and made sure to know that Michael Busch does own the Cardinals. So that was, I thought, pretty good. But I mean, the year that Michael Busch has had, I think it's really been overlooked. And when you take a look at the records that Michael Busch has been able to do here, he is 4th all-time primary Cubs first baseman in a season home runs. He had 34. Derek Lee had 35 in 2009. Ernie Banks, 37 in 1962. And Derek Lee, 46 in 2005. I still think he got ripped off of the MVP award that year.
2009 for Derek Lee or 5?
5.
Okay, 2005. Okay. That's, I mean, Busch has been just, lights out, right? Again, the whole idea is momentum, right? Carry this over, carry it over. That's what's so great about this weekend. It has me a little bit pumped up.
Yeah, we were getting nervous. You had a couple bad series against playoff teams, and they were able to come back and really kind of just impress you. But that Michael Busch stat, he's the 30th individual with at least 2 home runs, a triple, double in the last 125 seasons. So there's been 30 of those, 306 cycles per Sarah Lang. So just a wild stat. But Dustin, as we're talking about Michael Busch, though, Michael Busch, 8th inning, has a chance for the cycle. Didn't look like he was. And then the Cubs erupted for that big inning. And then he got another chance. And I want to play this audio by Pat and Ron because they are great just in general. They're the best in the business. But listen to this. This is so good.
And now, Michael Busch will get a chance. And these fans are standing. This is not just for today. This is for the whole season.
I think that I think they're going to walk him. I do. I think they're walking Michael Busch. They're not going to let him hit for the cycle.
My. Busch will not get a chance. They're going to walk him intentionally. And the fans don't like it. And I'm not crazy about it myself.
No, I'm not either. It's one of those things that's,
I love that Ron Yep had to kind of
stop. Be better, Cardinals, right? Get guys out. Be better. Be better.
So I got to
That's
ask
so
you, Dustin,
typical. It's so typical Cardinals, right? It's just so typical.
you're thinking that's Bush League?
Absolutely. Michael Bush League.
Michael Bush League. Here's what Council had to say. Here's what Michael Bush had to say. And here's what Ollie Marmol had to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's a baseball decision, and it rightfully was not met with friendliness from the home crowd, but it's just a baseball decision.
Yeah, I mean, that was it just felt good today. Selfishly wanted the at-bat, but there's nothing better than the victory itself, but selfishly, wanted the at-bat. But, I get it. They're trying to win, we're trying to win. Game wasn't over, still 4 runs, but, yeah, wanted the at-bat for sure. And to be honest, the fans, kind of had a little hint of it, but, the fans coming up to that plate was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's been trouble for us and the rest of the league. That's how he hit 30-plus homers. But he's done a really nice job, good approach, and he's put together a really good year, man. So a ton of respect for kind of what he's done this year. I'm not here for anybody's amusement. I'm trying to win a game, which the next guy grounded out to the pitcher, so I think it worked.
All right. Bushy clearly wanted the at-bat. He's not going to lie about it, which I like the honesty, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course he wants the at bat, right? I mean, if he didn't, it's just it's one of the dumber things. But it just, if anything, Crawley, it adds to this rivalry. Not that you necessarily needed anything to add to this rivalry, but to me, this just adds to the rivalry.
But here's the thing, Dustin. Ollie Marmol was right. I don't know. We're going to get to this on the next episode. There was a ton of firings today. A lot of guys lost their heads today, lost their jobs. The Cubs were up 7-3, and when they walk Bush, the next guy grounds out, and then they load the bases against Keller. So if a swing in the bat, Nathan Church, if he gets a hold of one, the game's tied.
Well, now you're sticking up for him now, Crawley.
I'm not sticking up. I'm just saying if it was flip, I'm just saying. Did it really matter in the long run?
Try to get the guy out. I mean, my point is pitch around him a little bit, maybe, but to just intentionally walk him. I mean, that's my point. That's my problem. Pitch around him, right? Pitch around him a little bit.
But let's say if this was flipped.
Be better.
Let's say if this was flipped and it was Nolan Arenado, we would be saying, why would you throw a pitch to that guy?
Well, the difference is that we're actually playing for something, right? We, the Cubs, are playing for something. They aren't. Doesn't that ever come into effect?
These guys are
trying to get somebody out.
For pride. I mean, they're playing for pride, but either way,
it didn't seem that way based on the results.
They lost, and that's why they're sitting at home, Dustin. That's why they're taking the trips to Jamaica and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
they're already on the golf course again. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And again, look at what Michael Bush has done in the last 17 games. He's hitting .317, slugging .850, OPS 1258, 8 home runs, 6 doubles. Why they pitch to him at all? I wouldn't. This guy's on fire right now. Great weekend for Michael Bush. And you know what? How about Jameson Taillon? He struck a season high 8 batters out in 6 innings. He has his 11th win of the season. And when you take a look at Jameson Taillon in his last 8 starts, 157 ERA, a whip of .90, 2 home runs allowed, 24 strikeouts to 7 Ks in 34 innings. Again, you're going to have to put that into consideration when we start talking about who is going to get the ball in game 2 and game 3.
Right. And that's still TBD, right? That is still TBD right now. Who's getting the ball later on? We want to share with everybody in case they don't know. Matthew Boyd is getting the ball in game number 1. Can we break that news right now?
Yeah, that's out there, man.
Out there for your consumption. But we, if you're listening to us, which we hope you are, as part of your source for Cubs information, it will be the All-Star game 1. It won't be an opener. There was some talk, and I was kind of getting talked into it a little bit today, Crawley, that we might have an opener. We can get into more of that later, but let's get on to game number 3, and we had Javier Assad, right?
Javier Assad versus Michael McCreevy, last game of the season, bullpen game for both teams, the last game of the season feeling, right? Everyone was pretty much done. The outcome really didn't matter. Some players didn't start like Nolan Arenado. Others sat after a few at-bats like Ian Happ. The bleachers did their annual potluck, and once again, my favorite tradition, the ground crew sang the 7th inning stretch. Those gentlemen do such a great job every year. I love that. And when the game's over, the players come out to salute the fans, tip their hats, and they throw autographed baseballs into the crowd. Javier Assad looked good. He pitched 5 1/3 scoreless innings, gave up 3 hits, 1 walk, and struck out 6. Didn't have a lot of stressful innings. Top of the second, 2 outs. Jimmy Crooks hits what should have been a single. PCA thinks he can make the catch. He doesn't, and the ball rolls all the way to the wall. Assad gets, but the funny thing is Crooks is a catcher. He's kind of a chunky catcher. By the time he's right in front of me, the play's right in front of me. By the time he's getting around second, he's running out of gas. So he stops at third. That could have been any other player, might have been an inside the park home run. All right. And then Assad gets Nathan Church to line out to end that threat. Assad gave up a single and a walk with 1 out, but he gets Ivan Herrera to hit into a double play. Top of the 5th, 2 outs. Victor Scott hits a ground rule double, but Assad gets Church to pop out to end the inning. That's what Javier Assad does, right? Bend, don't break. He holds the Cardinals to 0-3 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, he's a big bend, don't break guy. Yep.
As far as the offense was concerned, top of the 5th, Seiya Suzuki hits a home run for the 4th straight game, 5 in 4 days. The solo shot put the Cubs up 1-0. Cubs added some insurance in the 7th. Kevin Alcantara in for Ian Happ. He leads off the inning with the single. He advances to second on a pass ball. And with 2 outs, Moises Ballesteros, Mo Baller singles to give the Cubs a 2-0 lead. That sounds like an Iowa Cubs, but it was regular Cubs. And that's how the final game of the regular season would end.
And Moises was behind the plate in that game.
And first base.
Interesting.
Absolutely. It was a crazy one. Like I said, just one of those weird games.
Let's take another look.
If we're looking at this game right here, what can you say about Seiya Suzuki? 5 home runs over the last 4 games. Over the weekend, Justin, he joined Shohei Ohtani and Hideki Matsui as the 5th 30 home run, 100 RBI season by a Japanese-born player in Major League history. But here's the thing. Before the All-Star game, Seiya was slashing 263, 319, 547, 24 doubles, and 25 home runs. After the All-Star game, Seiya hit 213, 336, 351 with 7 doubles and 7 home runs. 5 of those home runs were in the last 4 games. So until the Mets series, the last game of the Mets series, Dustin, he only had 2 home runs in the entire second half as your number 3, number 4 hitter. So
yeah, I'm not going to go backwards right now with him. Right, I'm hoping he's in a good place. He's got himself healthy. Also does better when he's out in the field.
Yep. Let's hear what Seiya had to say about his performance.
Yeah, I think overall, the timing is good. I feel like besides the homer, the other bats, the results weren't great. So I feel like the feel for those bats were good. So I feel like overall, if I can just, maintain that consistently, I think that'll be good. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, looking at it, I think hitting is one of those things where a breakthrough can happen with any small thing. So I feel like, in my mind, if it happened earlier, it'd be great. If it's a little late, but I feel like if I can keep this up and going into the playoffs, I think that'll help the team.
So, Dustin, when I take a look at this right here and what Seiya is doing, like you said, sometimes it's just getting hot at the right time, and maybe he's getting hot when we need him most.
No, and they need him. They're going to need him, Crowley, if this is going to go in the direction that we want it to go.
Now, Dustin, Javier Assad's pitched well in September, 3-0, 3 starts with a 3.18 ERA. One of the things about Javi, though, is that he is exactly what Craig Counsell constantly talks about when it comes to pitchers, right? Yep. I want out-getters.
Right.
Opener, closer, starter, bullpen, hand him the ball, he gets you outs. How surprised were you that Craig allowed him to throw 79 pitches in a meaningless game?
I mean, he hasn't pitched a lot this year. I mean, his arms should still be pretty good, right? His arms should still be pretty good. So,
here's
I know he didn't want to use anybody in the bullpen anymore. He wanted to get everybody as much rest. I mean, the game finished. Jordan Wicks pitched the last 3 innings of this one.
Right. I have no doubt about that, Dustin. I guess my concern is that now you have to start talking about playoff rosters. And can you see Javier Assad being on the playoff roster? Because
I don't know that he makes this first roster.
Okay.
Assuming there's a second roster.
Right. Assuming that there's a second roster.
I think they would take an Aaron Savali before they take Assad.
See, for me, I would have gone with Savali. I would have gone Savali instead
of Assad and saved him.
Over Assad. Yeah.
Well, maybe they thought he needed the work. I mean, this will be a good question. When exactly do we get? I mean, we've gotten the game 1 starter. When is the roster due at a certain hour, or is it just
Tomorrow morning.
tomorrow morning? So they get to sleep on it again. Okay.
Yeah, they're going to sleep on it, and there are decisions that have to be made.
I mean, like if Ballesteros isn't on the roster, I'll be really upset, right? That would be shameful if he was not part of it.
Right. But with Assad, he's one of those guys that I always feel like he is a guy that you could use for just so many reasons. And I just hope that if there is a second round, I mean, I believe he's going to obviously be a part of it. We just don't know, because that is a huge risk that you're taking, especially when you look at some of the guys that have had some struggles in September. And Dustin, there are guys that have had their struggles in September. But either way, Dustin, this Cubs team wins 92 games. Here's what Craig Counsell had to say about that milestone.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to get better, man. Like the team we're chasing is 10 games ahead of us. You got to get better. And we should try to be building 90-win teams here. I mean, like that's like what you have to do to, that's a playoff standard. I mean, that's what you got to get to be safely in the playoffs, right? Safely in the tournament. So, from that perspective, we got a ways to go.
So that was Craig last season at the end of the year talking about that 90 wins. The Cubs finished 92-70. And if you think about it, Dustin, the Brewers had a season for their entire franchise, one of the best seasons they've ever had. And so, I mean, I think that it was such a crazy season, seeing what the Brewers did, what they did, seeing the Cubs struggle at times, especially towards the end, and some inconsistency. But all in all, at the end of the day, I think it's a good season for the Cubs in this organization.
You're listening to the Fly the W podcast. We're part of the Blue Wire Network. It's season number 4, Crowley, episode 56, and the Cubs have indeed clinched home field for the Wild Card Series. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. 5-star review, we'll take it. You can email us at crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com. Don't forget to watch us on Crowley's Clubhouse YouTube page. All right, final standings, Crowley, in the NL Central.
This is it, Dustin. One last time that we get to do this, right? NL Central, here it is. Brewers 97 wins, 65 losses. Cubs 92-70. The Reds 83-79. That was the record the Cubs had the last 2 years, and it would have gotten them in the postseason maybe, if tiebreaker depending. The Cardinals 78-84, and the Pittsburgh Pirates 20 games under 500. That's it. But Dustin, we have a finalized postseason bracket, and what an exciting day. I love how they start everything at 220, right? How everything's kind of the same, no one's sandbagging or anything like that.
Right. You're talking about yesterday that everybody started at the same time.
Everyone started at the same time yesterday. Yep, 100%. And I thought that was fun. It mattered, right? The Yankees versus Toronto.
That's why when people say, "Oh, it's just the 12th game of the season, what are you getting so excited about?" Okay, ask the Mets about that. Ask the Reds about that. They all count the same.
Cleveland and Detroit was undecided, and the Mets and the Reds. So this is your postseason picture right here, your bracket. You have on the NL side, the Cubs taking on the Padres, the Dodgers taking on the Reds, and the winner of the Cubs-Padres taking on the Brewers, the winner of the Dodgers-Reds taking on the Phillies. And then on the AL side, here they go again, Detroit-Cleveland, rematch. And then Boston, New York.
Yeah, I got to say, I don't like that. I wish they could split that up somehow. I know the records are the records, but gosh, I mean, these two teams know each other so well and play each other so many times. I just wish it was somehow, some way you could avoid that.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but in another way, it's also kind of fun. They don't like each other. These are teams that have some history, and I think it's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight. And when that happens, then it gives the team with the bye an advantage. Right? When you think about it, whoever
if
comes
it's a knockout, drag out, I mean, yeah, I mean, the teams with the bye will definitely have the advantage of setting their pitching rotation, right? But they'll also have the disadvantage of, the rest versus rust aspect, not playing, not hitting. That can be an issue, and you can only do so many sim games and take so many swings in the cages.
Let me ask you a question. What was more shocking to you, the Cardinals or the Guardians being 15.5 back to taking the division? Or the Reds? I mean, Dustin, I think back we were talking.
To me, it's the Guardians. I thought the Tigers were much better.
But if you think about it, the Mets had a $339 million payroll. They won the offseason. No one can argue that.
Supposedly,
They did.
I mean, the Bears win the offseason a lot too, Crowley. Look at that.
Well, so I got to ask you, Dustin, then you want to go AL or NL first?
Let's go AL. Let's do a little tease then.
All right. I'll go first then. I like Cleveland and I like the Yankees. So I see a Cleveland-Seattle semi going into the NLDS. I got Seattle winning that, and I got the Yankees beating the Blue Jays. So I have then Seattle versus the Yankees, with the Yankees going to the World Series.
I have the same, except I have the Tigers beating the Guardians. I have the Red Sox losing to the Yankees, Yankees beating the Blue Jays, Yankees beating the Mariners.
Okay, and now
the kiss of death.
The NL. You want to go first, or should I?
Sure, we'll start up top. I mean, the Dodgers are going to have no problem with the Reds.
I got the Reds taking it.
Okay, I believe the Cubs are going to get by the Padres.
I think the Cubs are getting by the Padres. Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's where I have the Cubs ending. I feel like the Brewers will unfortunately beat the Cubs. The Phillies will beat the Dodgers. The Dodgers will beat the Brewers, and it's a Yankees-Phillies World Series.
So I have the same World Series, different pathways. I think the Reds are going to beat the Dodgers. I think there's going to be a shock there. I'm going to call.
I'm fine with it. That'd be great. I'm down with that.
I got the Cubs beating the Padres. Okay. I have the Phillies beating the Reds and the Cubs beating the Brewers. I think the peaked too early, and I think sitting around is not doing.
You're right. I mean, I'd love to see the series. I mean, you talk about good for the rivalry. Gosh, that will be intense.
I got tickets for all 3 games in Milwaukee for the NLDS. And so I have the Phillies beating the Cubs, Phillies, Yankees.
All right. Well, Phillies, Yankees. We both got Phillies, Yankees.
Now,
Dustin, Yankees or Phillies, or we're not going. Are we going that far?
We'll wait on that. What do you think? What do you got on them?
Phillies. I
got Phillies too. I like Phillies too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm a Schwarber guy. We have the schedule, Dustin, and you mentioned it a little bit earlier. When you take a look here, the Cubs, unfortunately, the Tigers and the Guardians are going to be early on ESPN, followed by the Cubs and the Padres at a 2:08 start on ABC, 2:08 Central Time. And then the evening game, the prime time, you got the Red Sox versus Yankees, of course. And then Dodgers versus Reds are going to be the last game on ESPN. So all games are going to be on ESPN other than the Cubs and the Padres. So everybody gets that. And everything's the same for Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right. Very good. So let's hope we don't have to get to Thursday. And let's hope
we don't know anything about Thursday, in case anyone's asking.
Yeah.
And we do know the
our broadcasters, right? Okay.
Yeah. Kevin Brown, Jessica Mendoza, Ben McDonald, and Jesse Rogers. Obviously, Jesse's been on the podcast. He knows the Cubs inside and out. I guess I was kind of curious.
I mean, I'm kind of surprised that they don't leave Boog on it. I mean, I don't know. I think it'd be a better broadcast with him knowing the team so well. And then we've got Taylor McGregor covering the Tigers and the Guardians. That seems weird to me.
Right.
I just don't understand why you wouldn't leave your people, not like a full TV booth, obviously, a little mixing and matching, but I mean, to people that know the team, right?
Right.
It's not that out of town stupid.
Here's the thing is that Boog and Doug Glanville's brilliant, and he watches the Cubs plenty, former Cub himself. Mm-hmm. And so he also does the radio broadcast with Boog. And so, Doug Glanville knows the Cubs very well. Obviously, Boog has seen all of them, and Taylor knows them. So yeah, it makes no sense. Maybe they just didn't want some hometown bias. I couldn't figure out why. So who knows?
Yeah, it's a weird. I'd love to know the reasoning behind it, but okay.
I heard you mention this, and I'm glad you did this morning, though. You got 2:08 starts, and Sunday was a 2:20 game. So I was there at 2:20.
You're there.
This is 2:08. But here's the thing: is it's goofy because you are dealing with different sun shadow issues. Okay, so the pitcher's going to be in the sun, the batter's going to be in the shadows. There's going to be some weirdness there. And again, how important the wind has been bizarre. It's like 90 degrees today in Chicago, Dustin.
Yep. It's like July. Yep.
And so the question is the ball going to be flying in or out? Now, when we talk about the Padres, we'll talk about them in a little bit. They're not a big slug team. They're not. And so if the wind's blowing out, I feel that helps the Padres. If the wind's blowing in, if the Cubs do decide to go with, say, Shodi Managa for one of the starts, or even with an opener and then starting, then I think that it benefits the Cubs. And then you wonder about time, distance, and travel for San Diego, and that's why you want to get that route, to get the home field.
Yeah, they've got home field. It's really important that they've got the home field, and those shadows are definitely going to be an issue, something we're going to have to keep an eye on. And yeah, I mean, I heard Coomer talking about it yesterday on the radio. It's a great point, something that definitely. So if you can get out to an early lead, that could be super, super important.
And you better get out to an early lead. But a couple of roster moves, Dustin, and they were huge. As expected on Friday, Kyle Tucker came off the IL. He batted fourth in DH. It was his first game since going on the IL after the game on September 2nd. Dustin, to me, the big surprise, and I think in general about everybody, was the fact of what happened here is that it was Carlos Santana who went to the Arizona complex. Everybody had it as Kevin Alcantara. Were you surprised?
It was a little bit. Yep, was a little bit.
Now, when you take a look at this, Tucker was 1 for 4 with a walk on Friday. He scored 2 runs. He was 0 for 7 on Saturday and Sunday. They asked him how he felt after the game, how everything was kind of feeling. Here's what he said.
It was awesome. I think, anyone as an athlete and competitor wants to be out there contributing and helping the team win. So, it was exciting to be back out there rather than just kind of watching from the dugout. So, this team's a lot of fun to watch, and it's a lot of fun to be a part of. Just kind of play it by the situation, honestly. Obviously the goal is to always just run and take the next extra 90 feet when taking advantage of those little opportunities. But, if I need to run, I'll run. If kind of just depends on situations and stuff. So we'll just kind of play it out every at bat, every pitch, and everything. So.
You think he's good? I mean, does that sound confident to you or no?
No, but he always sounds the same. I mean, he always sounds the same, Crowley.
Well,
I never feel confidence listening to him talk.
I mean, you're sitting
right?
here and you're
never
right. He's just kind of milquetoast, so to speak. And so you take a look and you ask yourself, is this a guy? I mean, this is a guy who's in line for a huge payday, but we're talking about how much difference of a payday if he goes on a tear like Daniel Murphy did in 2015, right?
Oh, right. I mean, this is a huge, it's huge for everybody, but it's big for him. It might be $100 million series, right?
Yeah.
It could be $100 million series for him.
100%. And I'm just hoping he can be that factor. And that's why when you mentioned earlier about Seiya doing as good as he did the last week of the season, you need it so badly. And that'll be huge. Now, Dustin, the other injury is the one that really was a kick in the nuts, to be honest. I'm just going to go out there and say it. On Tuesday, Cubs manager Craig Counsell said Cade Horton had been sick the last few days. The rookie felt back tightness, so he pulled the plug on it. That was that start on Tuesday versus the Mets. And they were saying, he was sick, a little back issue, but no big deal. And so that was after 29 pitches that they pulled him. Okay, that wasn't a good feeling, right? Then all of a sudden, it's reported Craig Counsell says Cade Horton is on track still. Horton is optimistic he can pitch, but he'll throw tomorrow, and they'll get more input from another physician before knowing for sure. Okay, second opinion, never wrong, right? Then you see Saadav Shaharma say, Craig Counsell says right now, Craig is says Horton is on track still, but there are some areas of concern in the rib area. We'll continue to get info and have more docs look at the MRI. No more tests will be run. He's expected to throw tomorrow after taking 2 days off. Now, right there, Dustin, there were flags all over the place when Saadav Sharma from The Athletic tweeted this out. One was all the quotes. Right now, when he says right now, Cade is good to go.
Right now.
But there's areas of concern. And then they're going to have more docs look at the MRI. Dustin, if the MRI is all good, you don't have to have any other docs look at it.
No.
And so,
and I understand it to a certain extent. It's a competitive advantage getting ready for the playoffs, and they don't want to get everybody, in super panic mode. But yeah, but the other, what threw me off though was the night game. what was that game? It was
Thursday night.
Wednesday night. They played Thursday night and then Friday day, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So Thursday night he's standing shoulder to shoulder with his teammates on the rail, the other pitchers yucking it up and all this stuff. So I thought he was going to be okay.
Bruce Levine on the 26th on Friday says, Craig Counsell said Cade Horton feels good and expects to move forward to pitching next week. He played catch in the outfield today. Next would likely be a bullpen sometime in the next few days. And guess what? There he was on Saturday throwing a bullpen. Right? And so Marquis says
Right.
Cade Horton threw in the outfield before Saturday's Cubs-Cardinals game. Craig Counsell said Horton will throw a bullpen on Sunday. And then almost like 30 minutes after that, roster moves. Right-handed pitcher Cade Horton placed on the 15-day injured list with a right rib fracture. They recall left-handed pitcher Jordan Wicks. And Dustin, my God, what a gut punch.
Total gut punch, absolute gut punch. And Jed didn't sound very positive either about the whole situation.
Well, here's Counsell on Horton.
He really wanted to try, and we thought it was worth trying. We didn't get very far, obviously, and that's the way it goes. We just didn't get very far because he's got something that's just he's not going to be able to pitch with. So that's the unfortunate part of this. I mean, I think he thought he could try. He thought he could pitch. We wanted to give him a chance. But it was clear after today that it wasn't going to be possible.
Dustin, to say Cade Horton has been the best pitcher on the Cubs in the second half is an understatement.
Huge understatement. Yeah.
He's been the best pitcher, you could argue, in baseball in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Since the All-Star break, Horton has had the lowest ERA in baseball at 1.03, second in earned runs allowed, first in opponents' average at 154, and first in WHIP with 0.78. This was just devastating.
It's a huge miss. It's a huge loss. There's no doubt. There's no way around it. This isn't like, turn the page, no big deal. It's super tough.
I think he's done for the season now. He can come back for the NLCS. I just don't see it happening. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you. One last piece of news for Marquee. Again, obviously all the games are going to be either on ESPN or ABC. But for Comcast cable subscribers, starting tomorrow, Marquee will be moved from the popular TV tier to the ultimate TV tier. So yesterday was the last game on the popular TV tier. So obviously,
now will Marquee be doing like pre and post game stuff?
Yes,
it will be.
So that's where you're going to get screwed if you want to go to all the people you're used to seeing. You're going to have the national guys if you don't have.
Now you might have to go out. You have to see what the price difference is and maybe just go get the app, right?
Yeah, either way, but we'll see what happens.
All right, you're listening to the Fly the W podcast. We're part of the Blue Wire Network. It is episode 56 of season number 4. The Cubs indeed clinching that home field wild card series against the Padres, and we are going to get into that right now, Crowley. Cubs Padres preview. These two teams have not played since what, April?
Yeah, it's one of those weird ones in the schedule where all of a sudden you're taking a look and you say to yourself, wait a sec, they haven't played since when? And so obviously the San Diego Padres are 90-72. So Cubs 2 games better than that. They are 7-3 in their last 10 and have won 3 in a row. But Dustin, the key to all of this right here is how these teams do at home versus the road. And at home, the Cubs are 50-31. On the road, they're 42-39. So 50-31 at home, where the Padres are 52-29 at home. 2 games better, but they're 38-43 on the road. So they are 5 games under 500 on the road. Now, the thing that makes me a little nervous is that the Cubs are 38-46 against teams with a winning record, while the Padres are 43-43 and even 500. But, the Padres have a lot of baseball experience. They have a lot of postseason experience. They didn't have the swoon that the Cubs did. For the most part, they just had a little bump in the road in June. But other than that, they've played over 500 ball every month of the season. It's just their away record is so abysmal. But
that's what you're banking on, right? That's what you're banking on.
Yeah, and now there is a little bit of history for those of you youngsters out there, like Steve Stone used to say. Cubs and Padres have met once in the postseason in the 1984 NLCS. The Padres took the series in 5 games, winning Game 4 on a walk-off home run from Steve Garvey, but then lost the World Series in 5 to the Tigers. So the Padres have not won a World Series. I talked to Lee Smith yesterday. I never bring up that home run hit by Steve Garvey in Game 4, and then that took it to Game 5. And do you remember the Gatorade glove?
Mm-hmm.
For those that aren't aware, Leon Durham was a phenomenal first baseman that year. I mean, he wasn't a natural first baseman, he was an outfielder, but he played really good first base in 84. And I think it was Ryan Sandberg knocked over Gatorade on Leon Durham's glove. And so Durham's you could see him kind of playing with the glove, and there's a key at bat, and the ball just goes under Durham's glove. And it cost the Cubs the game. There's a lot of things that when you take a look back at that series, Dustin, I know when I think about it, there's a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Oh my gosh,
don't know.
so many woulda, coulda, shoulda. It was really like the first team that broke my heart, right?
100%. And when you take a look at it for the Cubs, it's exciting because they haven't been the postseason since 2020. I was on the rooftop, Dustin, for that postseason game because there was nobody allowed in there, but it was. Yeah. And so that was against the Marlins, and they got swept in that one. But the last time they had people in the park was 2018. And so this is going to be the first postseason game since then. And so for me, that's really exciting. But you're playing a Padres team, Dustin, that has experience, right? They have a lot of playoff experience. They've had a lot of battles with the Dodgers. And so they're in their 4th playoff run in their last 6 years, and they've made it to the NLDS. They made it to the NLCS. They have not made it to the World Series. If they're going to make it to the World Series, they're going to have to play and pass the Cubs. Just have point to 26. Okay. Similar to what it was before they expanded it in August. And so, I mean, we know who's starting for the Cubs, right? Bush, Horner, Happ, Tucker, Suzuki, Carson Kelly, PCA, Dansby, Matt Shaw. We know who the starters are. It's just who is going. Would you say Kevin Alcantara?
I guess. It's befuddling, right? It's hard.
It's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be Justin Turner.
No.
I don't think it's going to be Willie Castro. Obviously,
I think it'd be just. I take Justin Turner before. I just think they want him more there, right?
I think the Cubs want him in case there's an important pinch hit.
Right, they're going to want him.
Now, here's another name, Dustin, and I'm going to throw this out there, and people may not be thinking about this. How about Billy Hamilton?
No shot.
Cubs signed
why
Billy Hamilton.
Why wasn't he here this weekend then?
What do you need him to do, Dustin? What's the only thing you need him to do?
Steal bases, run fast.
That's it.
But then wouldn't you have wanted him around? Wouldn't you have wanted him around the team a little bit? I mean, that to me, that's
There has been a lot of guys that you've seen that can play baseball a lick, but they could run. And that's a huge. Those 90 feet in the postseason, they're huge.
Yeah.
They are huge. And so I'm just telling you, don't discount it right away. Well, what if you get rid of Justin Turner or Kevin Alcantara? What if you get rid of both of them and get Billy Hamilton up?
Yeah.
I think that's a possibility. Who would you trust on the bases more, Billy Hamilton or Kevin Alcantara?
But I wouldn't trust Billy Hamilton in the field at all. You know what I mean? Like not even a little bit.
You would try to avoid using them in the field if at all possible.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, it kind of feels like a luxury item, right? I don't know that the Cubs are in the luxury item shopping lane right this second.
See, you think of it as a luxury, whereas I am thinking more and more that it is going to be it's going to be a huge difference right there when you talk about pinch runners. I mean, I guess you could go with Willie Castro pinch running. We'll see. One other thing to keep in mind, Dustin, is that the Padres have struggled against left-handed pitchers. It's one of the reasons why Matthew Boyd is going to get that game 1 start. The Padres lost Ramon Laureano due to a fractured right index finger, and he was one of their best hitters versus lefties. So he is not in the lineup. And so take a look and see. I think that's going to be a huge loss for the Padres. And so for me, I'm very curious to see how this is all going to play out.
How they will respond. All right. Tail of the tape, Crowley. Let's break it down. This is the last 3 weeks, September 7th through the 29th.
Yeah, Dustin, I was looking at this and I almost was in shock. In the last 3 weeks, the Cubs batting average, 9th in baseball, 256. The Padres, 10th in baseball, 255.
It's pretty even.
0.001 even. Slugging, the Cubs are 5th at 449. The Padres at 7th, 423.
Pretty even.
Runners in scoring positions, Cubs 8th at 270. The Padres at 9th at 269.
Wow. Again, pretty even. I mean, this is flipping a coin type of stuff.
Now, starting pitching ERA, the Cubs in the last 3 weeks are 7th in baseball, 356, while the Padres are 11th at 384. And when it comes to reliever whip, the Cubs are 3rd in baseball with a whip of 1, while the Padres' vaunted bullpen is 384. Now, the Padres really, really, really can strike people out. They're really, really good at that. But when you take a look, they had a critical injury out of their bullpen. It really is one of the best bullpens in baseball. When you talk about it, again, 3 weeks is 3 weeks, but even when you look over the course of the entire season, the Padres, you want to get to their starters. That's the key to winning against this team. If you can get to their starter, you don't want to get to their bullpen. They lost Jason Adam, and that was a huge one this month. And so they got Mason Miller at the deadline, Dustin. How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
The Padres.
Right.
And Robert Suarez, I remember the Cubs were, there was a possibility of a trade for Robert Suarez in the offseason. So when you talk about Miller and when you talk about Adams, when you talk about Adrian Morejon, who's going to, he's going to go against the lefties. He's going to go against the Michael Bushes of the world, the PCAs, and he is dominant. And then you have Jeremiah Estrada, former Cub. To me, the edge when it comes to bullpen, even though the Cubs have done better in the last 3 weeks, the edge to me, if you're telling me whose arms would you rather have out of the pen, no doubt it's the Padres. And so I just want them to be able to attack and get to the starting pitcher. That's going to be the key right there. And Dustin, we do have pitching probables for the Padres, just not 100% for the Cubs. When we talk about for the Cubs, it is going to be Matthew Boyd. Matthew Boyd, we said all-star for the Cubs, 14-8, 3.21 ERA, 31 games started, 154 strikeouts and 179 and 2/3 innings. He had some struggles in September. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat that. He was 2-1 with a 5.31 ERA, right? In 4 games started. He gave up 4 home runs in 4 games. But in that last start against the Mets was probably the best I've seen him look since he had a couple bad starts in September, but September 6th against the Reds, he pitched 7 innings, gave up 2 earned runs. And then against the Mets, he went 5 1/3 and gave up 2 earned runs. And I thought he looked solid. I thought he looked really, really good. I'm hoping we see some more of that tomorrow afternoon. When you take a look at how Boyd's done against the Padres, he's 1-1 with a 1.59 ERA in 2 games started. So not a lot of experience. When we take a look at who you got to look out for, Dustin, when we talk about Padres of 84, yeah, Steve Garvey pissed me off, but who was the best player on that Padres team? You remember? Who is Mr. Padre, in your opinion?
Tony Gwynn.
To me, that's what I think about when I think about Luis Arias. I mean, he's not a slugger. He's just a guy that always gets a base hit.
Puts the bat. He's always making contact, right?
Always. And they're always falling for him. And it just reminds me of Tony Gwynn. You just can't get the guy out. Where are you going to pitch him? I don't know how you're going to get the guy out. No. He's, against Matt.
He's a guy to worry about every time. Gosh, I'd love to see him in a Cubs uniform.
He's 3 for 7 against Boyd. Again, he really doesn't have power numbers against anybody, but Boyd is 3 for 16 against Xander Bogaerts, 2 for 7 against Freddie Fermin. Machado has good numbers for him, 5 for 13. So those are the two guys that you're going to have to watch out for when you talk about Matthew Boyd. You got to watch out for Machado and Arias. Those are the two guys that have me worried.
All right. So we're ready to make a prediction, Crawley?
Well, we got on the other side for the Padres, we know that it is going to be.
Oh, the Knots. You want to talk about the Knots? Okay.
Well, as far as Nick Pivetta, he is going to be pitching for the Padres. He's their most consistent starter. He's 13-5 with a 2.87 ERA, 31 games started.
I am a little surprised they're going that route.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they're not going for the jugular right off the bat.
Well, they've had some issues with their pitching, and he's kind of been their most steady, but it's not like he's a shutdown guy. He's a guy that's going to give up 2 or 3 runs. And so against the Cubs in his career, he's 2-2 in 6 games, 5 of those starts with the 3.96 ERA. Against Pivetta, not a lot of guys have experience. Haps 3 for 10. How about Carson Kelly, 3 for 6 with a triple? And you have Dansby Swanson is 10 for 34 with a double and 2 home runs. Kyle Tucker, 2 for 12 with a 167. Not great. Now, we know that the Padres are going to go with former Cub Dylan Cease. So Dylan Cease will take game 2, but he's had a tough year, 8-12 with a 4.55 ERA in 32 games started. And is that what you're talking about with the jugular, going with Cease first?
Right. Yeah. I might have went with Cease first, to be honest with you. I might have done that. But I'm not trying to be Joe Padre here, right? I'm
right.
Just saying, like,
and so
and then you have to look at the end. Like, when did Yu Darvish last pitch? Like,
right.
Like, what? Not you're saving Yu Darvish in case you need a game 3.
Yeah. I mean, Cease is 2-1 in September with the 3.12 ERA. He struggled a little bit in August. He's 3-1, but a 4.94 ERA. So a lot of his struggles kind of came later. He's, like I said, around a 3 ERA, but he's hittable, right? But Dylan Cease has some great numbers against his former team, 4-2 in 8 starts with a 2.47 ERA. And when you're looking at it right there, Willie Castro, he's not going to get there. But Ian Happ, 1 for 21, Dustin, 1 for 21.
Oof.
But Kyle Tucker, 5 for 13 with 2 doubles. So let's hope that happens. And so you got 2 good pitchers there. And then I'm going to say Jameson Taillon starts game 2. I think it's dumb if you don't. I'm just going to go out there. But Craig said he doesn't want to do anything until he decides.
It all depends. Yeah, he said it all depends on what happens. Right. All depending on what happens.
But Jameson Taillon, like I said, for September has been absolutely phenomenal. But with Shota Imanaga, he's got good numbers against the Padres. So, I mean, it's just, do you trust that he can do it now? When you take a look at Jameson Taillon, though, he's 2-0 with a 2.40 ERA in 5 starts against the Padres in his career. Shota Imanaga against the Padres, 1-0. He's only pitched against them 3 times with a 1.40 ERA. But both of them are good. I can't get over with what's going on with Shota for the month of September. Yeah. I mean, this is just ridiculous, Dustin, if you take a look at it.
At least Boyd had that one good outing, right, in the middle of it all.
Right.
But yeah, Shota's been going the wrong direction for far too long now.
Dustin, 10 home runs in 5 starts. I mean, it just can't happen. I can't see. And I was there at that game, that last game against the Mets. And I know the Padres are not a big slug team, but they were hitting the ball hard off them. It was like they were hitting it off a tee. When we take a look at hot and not really quick, the hot, when you take a look at the Cubs, I think there's a few guys whose names really, truly stick out. You can't get much harder than Michael Busch, 8 for 20 with 2 doubles, 4 home runs, slashing 400, 500, 1250. Seiya Suzuki, 7 for 22. PCA, 6 for his last 20. These guys are all bombing it. And you said Moises Ballesteros, 5 for his last 11 with 2 RBIs, slashing 455, 500, 545.
He's gotta be on the playoff roster. He's gotta be on the playoff roster.
Not right now.
Of a doubt.
Dansby Swanson in a cold stretch, 3 for his last 19, 158, 273, 368. Carson Kelly, 2 for his last 16, 125, 175, 125. On the other side of the ledger right there, when we talk about what is going on with the Padres, you got a couple guys here that you're going to have to really kind of worry about. But
Luis Arias.
Luis Ariz is always on that list. 8 for his last 15 in the last week, slashing 533, 588, 800. You got to take a look at Ryan O'Hearn. He also plays first base. 8 for his last 18 with a home run and 5 RBIs. And Fernando Tatis and Willie Wagner. Fernando Tatis is hot, but he hasn't played a lot. They've rested a lot of their guys. But on the cold list, you don't have to worry about Jake Cronenworth. Hopefully, he's 2 for his last 11, slashing 182, 286, 182. And Gavin Sheets, left fielder, former White Sox, 3 for his last 18, slashing 167, 250, 167.
Okay, here we go. Make the prediction.
Okay, I got the Cubs taking this one in 3 games. I got it in 3 games. The Cubs advance to Milwaukee, and I will be there at all 3 games.
All right, which games? How does it go? Do they win the first game and then lose the second, win the third? How about that part of it?
I got a feeling they're going to go first game. They're going to win with Boyd. I think they're going to lose the second game with Shota, and I think they're going to win the third game. Some combo of JMO and Soroka and bullpen.
Well, I have it exactly the same, Ray, with you, Crowley. So let's cross our fingers. That's a wrap again. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe. 5-star reviews are always welcome. Email us, Crowley'sClubhouse@gmail.com. And don't forget, you can watch us on Crowley's Clubhouse YouTube page. Let's hope, pal, that the next time we're together, we're talking about the Cubs advancing and not looking ahead to the 2026 season.
I will be there. Come say hi, and let's hope that we do this. Good karma, good juju. Go Cubs!
It's all over.
All right, good job, buddy.
It's all over.